Welcome to Deep Dive Lab, where we break down and dissect cutting-edge scientific research, from advanced biomedical technologies to breakthroughs in AI, material science, chemistry, and physics, all told as compelling, easy-to-follow stories. And today, we are exploring a paradigm shift that is going to fundamentally change, well, basically your relationship with your own biology.
Yeah, it's a entirely new way of thinking about medicine.
Right. But to really grasp what is happening here, I want you to picture a very common, slightly frustrating everyday scenario. Let's say you have a houseplant on your windowsill.
Oh, sure.
Maybe a notoriously finicky one, like a fiddle leaf fig or something.
Those are impossible.
Right. Keeping this thing alive is just a constant, stressful guessing game. You water it on Tuesday, kind of hoping it's enough.
Yeah, and then a few days later, the leaves look a little yellow.
Exactly. So you panic, you dump a whole pitcher of water into the pot, and then the next thing you know, the roots are rotting.
Yeah, you're either drowning the poor thing or you're, letting it turn to dust.
Totally. And it's entirely because you are just guessing what it needs
Right.
and guessing when it needs it.
Well, yeah, because the plant can't tell you its soil is optimal.
Yeah.
So you act on a rigid schedule or just a whim rather than reacting to what the organism actually requires in that precise moment.
Right. Now think about the last time you took a headache pill or watched a family member manage a chronic illness. We take that exact same completely blind guessing game approach and we apply it to human medicine.
It's true. It's wild when you think about it.
It is. We swallow a pill with a glass of water, and we just kind of hope the chemical payload magically knows exactly where to go and what to do inside the unbelievably complex jungle of the human body.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the core mystery of today's deep dive. Why does getting the right amount of medicine into your body at the exact right time still feel so incredibly primitive? I mean, why, in the year 2026, are we still relying on the take 2 pills and call me in the morning approach?
It's a great question. And the disparity between the sophistication of our drugs and the sheer crudeness of how we deliver them is, it's something the medical community has been wrestling with for decades.
Right, because the drugs themselves are highly advanced.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We engineer these absolute miracle molecules, compounds that cost billions of dollars to develop. But our delivery systems essentially belong in the 19th century.
It feels a bit like setting up an automatic lawn sprinkler on a rigid timer.
Okay, yeah.
Like, it might be pouring rain outside, your yard might be completely flooded, but the sprinkler kicks on anyway just because the clock struck 6 p.m.
Exactly.
The system doesn't know it's raining.
That is the perfect way to visualize what engineers call an open-loop system. Traditional drug delivery completely ignores the highly dynamic environment inside you.
Right, because our bodies are constantly changing.
Constantly. The chemical composition of your blood, your hormones, your metabolism, these are fluctuating minute by minute. But when a doctor prescribes a medication, you get a fixed dose on a fixed schedule.
It's just like the sprinkler timer.
The drug goes in, and there is absolutely zero feedback mechanism to tell the pill what your body is actually doing.
Wait, so you're telling me that even our most advanced miracle drugs are basically being delivered by a blindfolded mail carrier who just, throws the package at the house and hopes for the best?
Pretty much. We throw the chemicals, and we immediately run into two major clinical failures. First, patient compliance. People simply forget to take their pills.
Oh, sure. I do that all the time.
Right, which means the treatment fails. Second, and more dangerously, drugs degrade in the stomach acid or they hit the bloodstream all at once.
And what happens then?
This causes toxic spikes where you have far too much medication in your system. And that's usually followed by useless crashes where the drug is completely ineffective.
So you're either flooded or in a drought.
Exactly.
Okay, so if the open-loop sprinkler system is the problem, the alternative has to be a system that actually checks the weather first, right? A system that measures what is happening inside you right now and then releases the exact microdose of medicine required to keep you in perfect balance. What does that actually look like?
Well, that is called a closed-loop system. And bringing that concept out of the realm of science fiction and into the human body required the convergence of multiple scientific fields peaking at the exact same time.
Okay, so how did scientists figure this out? This is where the story gets really interesting.
Yeah, so the breakthrough was detailed in a massive comprehensive review published in the journal Nature in March 2026.
Oh, wow, Nature, that's a huge deal.
It's top tier.
Yeah.
And the research was spearheaded by Dr. Zhen Gu from Zhejiang University, along with Dr. Robert Langer from MIT,
Okay.
who is an absolute pioneer in biomedical engineering, plus an international team of colleagues.
Okay, so what did they actually build to solve this? Because, I mean, the inside of the human body is dark, it's wet, it's highly acidic, and it's constantly moving. It's not exactly friendly to technology.
No, it's not. But they detail the rise of what they call IMDDs. That stands for Intelligent and Miniaturized Drug Delivery Devices.
Intelligent and miniaturized. Okay.
Yeah. These are top-down manufactured devices ranging in size from a few millimeters to a couple of centimeters that basically act as tiny, autonomous pharmacies residing inside or on your body.
Tiny autonomous pharmacies. That sounds insane.
It really is. And the researchers categorize these smart delivery systems based on how they solve the problem of triggering the drug release. There are four main categories.
Okay, let's go through them. I imagine the most straightforward way to build a smart device is just to use electronics, right? Like slap a microscopic sensor and a battery on it and call it a day.
Yep, bioelectronic devices are indeed the first category. These are wearable or implantable technologies that utilize electrical signals and biosensors.
Do you have an example?
Yeah, a great one from the Nature Review is a smart contact lens for a patient with glaucoma.
Glaucoma, so that's high pressure in the eye.
Exactly. Traditionally, you use eye drops and just kind of hope you get the dose right. But this wireless contact lens physically monitors the intraocular pressure in your eye in real time.
Wow.
And when it senses the pressure rising to a dangerous level, it automatically releases anti-glaucoma drugs directly into the eye tissue.
Wait, so it feels the pressure and fixes the pressure all on its own without you doing anything?
All on its own. Another fascinating application is a smart bandage for chronic wounds, like diabetic ulcers.
Okay, how does a bandage become smart?
Well, when a wound starts to get infected, the bacteria actually alter the microenvironment. The temperature spikes locally, the pH shifts, and the electrical resistance of the skin changes.
Oh, interesting. I never thought about a wound changing pH.
Yeah, and a smart bandage constantly monitors those exact parameters. The second the pH shifts, which indicates an infection is brewing, the bandage wirelessly triggers the release of antibiotics or growth factors right into the wound bed.
So you aren't waiting for the wound to look red and inflamed to the human eye. You're stopping the infection at a chemical level before it even takes hold.
Exactly. It's proactive instead of reactive.
But, I mean, a smart bandage makes sense. You stick it on the skin, it has access to the air, you can put a tiny battery in it. What if the problem is deep inside the stomach?
Right.
You can't just swallow a battery-powered sensor because the stomach acid would destroy the electronics, wouldn't it? How do we trigger a device when we can't use electricity?
That specific challenge brings us to the second category, which is physically triggered actuators.
Physically triggered.
Yeah, these are devices activated by external or internal physical forces, things like magnetism, heat, acoustics, or mechanical force.
Okay, so no batteries.
No batteries.
Yeah.
And the most mind-bending example designed to survive the stomach is an ingestible pill for diabetes patients called the Soma. That's a self-orienting millimeter scale applicator.
A self-orienting pill? What does that even mean? How does a pill know which way is up?
Well, the engineers actually looked to biology for the answer, specifically the leopard tortoise.
The leopard tortoise.
Yeah, the leopard tortoise has this highly specialized, highly domed shell with a very specific center of gravity. If the tortoise gets flipped onto its back, the geometric shape of the shell mathematically forces it to wobble and roll back onto its feet every single time.
Oh, I've seen videos of that. They rock back and forth until gravity just flips them right side up. So the scientists shaped a pill like a tortoise shell.
They did. They engineered a capsule with that exact same shape and a weighted bottom. When a patient swallows this pill, it doesn't matter how it tumbles down the esophagus.
Okay.
Once it drops into the stomach, it automatically wobbles and self-orients so that the flat bottom is resting flush against the stomach wall.
That's brilliant, but then what?
Once it's in position, the humidity of the stomach actually dissolves a tiny sugar disc inside the pill.
Sugar.
Yeah, and that dissolving sugar releases a compressed mechanical spring, which fires a solid micropost of insulin directly into the tissue of the stomach.
Wait. It fires a needle into your stomach from the inside. Doesn't that cause internal bleeding or, like, severe pain?
Amazingly, it doesn't, because the tissue of the stomach wall lacks the sharp somatic pain receptors that your external skin has.
Oh, wow. So you literally don't feel it at all.
You don't feel a thing. It delivers the insulin over about an hour, and it completely eliminates the need for a daily external needle stick.
That is incredible.
They also highlighted devices like the RoboCap, which is physically triggered to spin and clear away the thick mucus in your gastrointestinal tract so that drugs can absorb more efficiently into the tissue.
Like a microscopic mucus snowplow for your intestines. I love that.
It's exactly like a snowplow.
Okay, so we have tiny electronics and we have spring-loaded tortoise pills. But both of those still rely on some kind of trigger a battery or a mechanical spring. Is there a way to do this without any moving parts at all? Can the material itself just be the machine?
Yes, through what they call physiochemical responsive devices.
Yeah.
That's the third
That's
category.
you chemical. Okay, break that down for me.
These are made of smart materials that literally react to your body's intrinsic chemistry. They detect and transform based on ionic changes or specific enzyme interactions.
So the material acts like a chemical sponge.
Let's look at diabetes management again. Scientists have created microneedle patches made of a specialized polymer containing boronic acid.
Boronic acid.
Right. And boronic acid has a reversible chemical interaction with glucose. You just stick this patch on your arm and it constantly tastes the fluid just under your skin.
It tastes it.
Yeah, functionally. If your blood sugar is normal, the polymer stays rigid and traps the insulin inside the patch. But if your blood sugar spikes, the glucose molecules bind to the boronic acid.
Okay, and that does what?
This chemical reaction causes the polymer to swell up and become porous, basically leaking insulin into your body.
Oh, wow. And as the insulin does its job, the blood sugar drops back to normal.
Right, and as the glucose levels drop, the chemical reaction reverses. The polymer shrinks, the patch seals back up, and the insulin delivery completely stops.
That operates entirely like a thermostat in your house. It only kicks the air conditioning on when the room gets too hot, and it shuts off the moment it hits the right temperature.
Exactly. And because it's just a chemical reaction, there are no batteries to die and no springs to jam.
It is pure material science at work.
Yep.
It feels like we're running out of scientific disciplines to borrow from, though. We've used electrical engineering, physics, and chemistry. What could possibly be the fourth category?
Biology itself. The final category is called living devices.
Living devices.
This involves taking actual living therapeutic agents, like mammalian cells or bacteria, encapsulating them inside a manufactured device and implanting them inside your body.
Hold on. If we implant a cage full of foreign living cells into a patient, wouldn't the host's immune system immediately recognize it as an invading army and just destroy it? White blood cells are relentless.
They are, and protecting the payload from the immune system was honestly the single biggest hurdle for living devices. But the resolution to this is an absolute stroke of engineering genius.
Okay, I'm listening.
The scientists designed devices with highly specialized porous membranes. The secret lies entirely in the diameter of the pores. They are manufactured to be less than 0.8 micrometers wide.
So what does a zero point 0.8 micrometer pore accomplish? I assume it acts like a filter.
Think of it like a chain link fence. The holes in the fence are large enough that tiny molecules like oxygen, essential amino acids, and the drugs being produced by the cells, such as insulin, can easily flow in and out.
Okay, so the cells can breathe and eat.
Right. But those same pores are physically too small for massive immune cells, like macrophages or T cells, to squeeze through.
Ah, I see. So the nutrients can wash over the cells to keep them alive, and the medicine can wash out into the bloodstream, but the white blood cells just kind of bounce off the outside of the fence.
Exactly. Because of these submicron pores, scientists can encapsulate live pancreatic beta cells in a device implanted, and those cells will happily live inside you, reading your blood sugar and pumping out insulin, completely shielded from your immune system's attack dogs.
Installing a biological factory inside a patient is staggering, but managing all of this, the chemical triggers, the living cells, the data from the electronic sensors, that requires an immense amount of processing power. How are these devices making rapid-fire medical decisions without a doctor constantly reviewing the charts?
Well, the conductor orchestrating this entire microscopic symphony is artificial intelligence. AI is the final layer that pushes these devices into true autonomy.
Of course it's AI.
Machine learning algorithms are now the brains interpreting the massive streams of physiological data these devices collect. For example, Medtronic has a commercial system called the MiniMed 780G.
Okay, what does that do?
It uses an AI algorithm to analyze continuous glucose data, predict where your blood sugar will be in the near future based on your personal metabolic trends, and then autonomously adjust your insulin dose every 5 minutes.
Every 5 minutes, the algorithm is making a medical dosage decision.
Every 5 minutes.
That's wild.
And it goes far beyond just calculating dosages. Researchers are now deploying AI to guide literal swarms of microscopic robots through the human bloodstream.
Swarms, like thousands of robots navigating the blood vessels at once.
Yes, if you inject thousands of magnetic nanobots into a patient, you can't manually joystick them to a tumor. The blood flow is too turbulent, and the vascular system is just too complex.
Right. It'd be like trying to steer a million rafts down a rushing river.
Exactly. So an AI system analyzes the fluid dynamics, the blood pressure, and the anatomical obstacles in real time. The AI then manipulates external magnetic fields thousands of times a second to steer the swarm.
Wow.
It forces them to move together against the blood flow, avoiding blockages and penetrating deep into the target tissue.
We've talked a lot about diabetes, which is clearly a massive application for this, but zooming out, how does this technology reshape the bigger picture of medicine?
This changes how we survive major life-threatening diseases. Consider cancer therapy. Traditional chemotherapy is the ultimate open-loop sledgehammer.
Right. It's like trying to put out a kitchen fire by flooding your entire house with water. You might put out the fire, but you destroy the drywall, the furniture, and the foundation in the process. The side effects just poison the whole body.
But with IMDDDs, scientists are taking bioscaffold implants, loading them with engineered CAR T cells, and attaching that scaffold directly onto the surface of a tumor.
And CAR T cells are the immune cells, right?
Yes, CAR T cells are the patient's own immune cells that have been genetically reprogrammed in a lab to specifically hunt and destroy cancer cells.
So instead of flooding the house, you're placing the firefighters directly on the stove.
And the Nature review noted that by using a specialized nitinol micromesh implant to hold the cells in place, researchers achieved a peak CAR T cell density that was 232 times higher than what you get from a traditional intravenous injection.
232 times higher. That's massive. They aren't fluting lost in the bloodstream. They are concentrated exactly where the fight is happening.
Exactly.
That level of targeted delivery has to drastically reduce the side effects for the patient.
It absolutely does. And we are seeing a similar revolution in global health and vaccination. One of the biggest logistical nightmares for global health is that vaccines typically require ultra-cold freezers, sterile needles, and trained medical professionals to administer them.
Plus, needle phobia keeps a significant portion of the population away from clinics entirely. I mean, think about the friction of having to schedule an appointment, drive to a clinic, and get a flu shot.
Right. So how do you bypass the needle and the freezer?
Yeah, how do you?
With 3D printed dissolving microneedle patches.
Microneedle patches.
Yeah. Scientists have developed a standalone 3D printing process that can produce patches loaded with mRNA vaccines, like the technology used for COVID-19. They can print 100 patches in just 48 hours.
Oh, wow.
You just press this tiny patch onto your skin like a standard bandage. The microscopic needles penetrate the very top layer of the skin, where there are very few pain receptors. They dissolve, and they deliver the mRNA payload.
So it's essentially a medical temporary tattoo. You just press it onto your arm, wait a moment, peel off the backing, and you're vaccinated.
And the most critical part, the 3D printing process encapsulates the mRNA in a way that eliminates the need for cold storage.
Oh, that's huge.
These patches maintain their efficacy for months at room temperature. You can ship a cardboard box of them to a remote village, and people can safely and painlessly administer the vaccine to themselves at their own kitchen tables.
That completely changes the logistics of global health.
They are even adapting this exact technology for contraceptives. A microneedle patch can provide a sustained release of levonorgestrel for an entire month, and the production cost is under $1 per patch.
A month of reliable contraception for under $1 without needing to see a doctor. It sounds incredibly utopian, but science is rarely this flawless in practice.
Sure.
I mean, we are talking about putting robots, artificial intelligence, and living cell factories into the human body. There has to be a catch. What is the failure rate here?
Well, the catch is that the human body is an incredibly hostile, unforgiving environment. It is corrosive, it is constantly moving, and the immune system is relentlessly trying to isolate or destroy anything it doesn't recognize.
Right. The body doesn't know the microscopic robot is there to help. It just sees a foreign invader.
Exactly. And manufacturing these microscopic machines flawlessly on a mass scale is phenomenally difficult.
Because building one perfect prototype in a pristine lab is completely different from manufacturing 10 million of them for the general public.
The Nature review highlighted a couple of high-profile failures with the FDA to illustrate this danger. For instance, there was a device called the ITCA 650.
What was that?
It was a matchstick-sized osmotic mini-pump designed to be implanted under the skin to release diabetes medication continuously for 6 months.
An osmotic pump, how does that work?
It utilizes the natural process of osmosis. The device draws the patient's own interstitial fluid into a tiny chamber. As that fluid fills the chamber, it slowly pushes against a miniature piston, which then extrudes the medication out the other side at a constant microscopic trickle.
That sounds like a brilliant physical mechanism. I mean, it's just using fluid pressure.
It's a brilliant physical mechanism.
So why did the FDA reject it if it's such a good idea to guarantee a 6-month dose?
It faced multiple FDA rejections in 2017-2020 and a final denial in 2023 due to persistent manufacturing concerns and inconsistent therapeutic outcomes.
Oh, man.
The problem with a 6-month osmotic pump is that you can't have a device that works perfectly 99% of the time. Because if manufacturing defect causes the seal to break on that 1%, it dumps 6 months' worth of highly potent medication into a patient's bloodstream all at once.
And that would be fatal.
That failure is fatal.
The stakes for manufacturing defect aren't just a broken gadget. It's literally life and death.
Another example was Zasano Pharma's migraine patch, which failed FDA approval in 2020 due to inconsistent drug exposure and adverse skin reactions. The reality is that moving these devices from a controlled laboratory into the messy, unpredictable reality of human biology requires overcoming massive hurdles in reliability and biocompatibility.
When you synthesize all of this, the bioelectronic lenses, the tortoise pills, the AI swarms navigating our blood vessels, what is the ultimate takeaway for the listener today? What is the big shift happening in medicine right now?
The core takeaway is that the era of static, blind drug delivery is ending. Science is no longer just about discovering the next miracle chemical compound. Discovering the drug is only half the battle.
And the other half is?
The new frontier is engineering the ultimate delivery vehicle. By converging biology, 3D printing, material science, and AI, we are creating dynamic therapies that adapt to your body in real time.
It really is a complete rethinking of what medicine is. We're giving the pill a brain. But it leaves me with one final, slightly provocative thought to mull over. Yeah. As these microscopic devices get smarter, and as AI algorithms are entrusted to make autonomous, minute-by-minute decisions about the powerful chemicals entering your bloodstream,
Right.
at what point does the technology stop being just a medical tool and start becoming a secondary immune system?
Oh, wow.
If an algorithm is managing your blood sugar, fighting off infections before you even feel a fever, and deploying swarms of robots to hunt down rogue cancer cells while you sleep, who is really in the driver's seat of your health? Is it you or is it the machine?
That is the philosophical frontier we are rapidly approaching.
Something to keep you up at night the next time you swallow a perfectly normal, dumb aspirin.
Thank you for joining us today on Deep Dive Lab. If you enjoyed this journey into the microscopic future of medicine, be sure to follow and subscribe for more fascinating science stories. We'll see you next time.